Hi, and welcome to this week's Notes from the Field, where I'm going to be revealing some pretty interesting and somewhat hidden insights. I deliver case studies of subconscious diagnosis of clients I've been working with. This is an extremely interesting area of investigation, especially if you want to improve your life, if you want to get better results in any area as a business person, in your relationships, with your health, peace of mind. In fact, information in Notes from the Field will really help you understand what it takes to change, to transform oneself, and to get the results that you want in your life. You see, a fundamental truth is that it's rare to achieve results in any area of life that exceeds your subconscious beliefs and narratives. As an example, any subconscious fear or negativity in relation to a conscious goal will alter your behavior and therefore your results. And all this happens outside of your awareness, meaning you'll be involved in sabotaging or results limiting behaviors, but not really see it. Now, as a master intuitive and strategist, I'm really fortunate. I'm fortunate because my clients help me learn. And I'm able to learn because I'm able to see someone's subconscious beliefs and patterns within a few minutes of meeting them. When you work with normal coaches, business coaches, or even the most highly trained psychological professionals, it takes a lot of time for them to see what's really happening for you on a subconscious level. And that means a lot of money. And to be honest, often they can't see. They don't have the skill set. So, notes from the field for those of you that are interested in human behavior and human performance, even spirituality, you're going to learn a lot. It's been a fascinating life. I've been doing this for 35 years, working deeply in my client's subconscious. So, today we're going to be looking at a very, very interesting case study. And in this case study, we're going to be looking at the subconscious patterns of a business owner who consciously states he wants a really successful business. Now, this particular business owner is really quite well known, so I can't mention names. And from the outside, they have what would be considered a very successful looking business, meaning it makes money and it's out there, it's operating, it's well known, as I said. But in reality, this business owner has been struggling for a long time. You're going to see why in a moment. And they've been struggling because of their subconscious content. This is where it becomes a mystery. And it manifests in this way that they are always in debt. They never have enough money. Okay, so let me set this up. Now, before we get into it, I want you to understand a few things. The first thing to understand is that you only know a part of what and who you are. In fact, you only know a very small part of what and who you are. You might be saying, oh, I know myself really well. Well, you don't. Sorry, I've been doing this for 35 years. My job is to see what is hidden from a person's conscious awareness, what is hidden from their conscious awareness and is undermining the results they want. So if you want better results, one of the most important things that you can do is start to see what programming you have deep within your subconscious. And the subconscious, of course, is hidden. And what do I mean by programming? Well, one of the things you'll find from Notes from the Field is that your subconscious is full of belief systems and stories about you and about life that you have inherited from your teachers and from your parents and from society, from your particular signature of upbringing. And it would be a good place to start to think of a child, a baby, who's blank, basically full of some primal drives. They're born with some other impulses, and they're empty, and they love their parents, and they absorb what their parents think and believe, and they take that on. They go to school and they go to church or whatever religion they're involved with, and they take all that on. And here they are at 40 or 50, and they don't realize it, but they're still ruled by a lot of those belief systems that they no longer see. Now, there's real mechanical reasons, meaning functional reasons, that we have a subconscious. I don't want to go into that. It does help our life in many, many ways. It frees up the hard drive of our conscious awareness to make other choices and to think about other things. You've all gone driving, and you arrive at destination to just suddenly think, I can't remember that drive. And that's because your subconscious got you there and you were daydreaming and thinking about other things. Anyway, let's get into it. So, if you met this gentleman, you would be impressed. He's got strong bearing. He's super intelligent. He's really smart. He's handsome. He's a big unit, very rugged. Ruggedly handsome is the word for him. He's a really good communicator. And you would look at him and think he's really rational, which he is. However, one of the things you'll soon learn is the subconscious is irrational. The next thing I'm going to teach you as we head into this is that the personality is made up of parts. And, you just think of your personality as one thing. And the closest you get to your understanding that your personality is made up of parts, is sometimes you go, a part of me feels like this. A part of me feels like that when you're making a decision. Well, for someone that says that, I already know that they've got some fairly decent awareness of self. And those parts can be broken up. We've got little child parts. I've got parts of me that are aggressive. I've got parts of me that are peaceful. I've got parts of me that are academic. I've got parts of me that love to touch someone. I really love to touch and feel. So we're just made up of all these different parts with different belief systems. So coming back to the client. On a certain level of business performance, he performs highly. And that means he is able to really help his clients. However, there is a repeated pattern of behavior. The first one is unfinished business. So he always has multiple projects on the go and they are not finished. So this sets them up for a little bit of chaos. And we're going to be talking about chaos. It's super important. He will forget to do sales calls. Now, sales are the most important thing you can do because sales mean money. So he chases shiny objects. So he's got his business, but he's out there trying this deal or looking for that and looking for this. And subconsciously, he attracts people that waste his time. I just said something really important. Subconsciously, he attracts people that waste his time, meaning he's attracting people that can't help him get where he says he wants to go consciously. Now, this particular gentleman, as I said, is highly intelligent. And before he came to see me, he's kind of like flummoxed. Why can't I get these results? I know I'm a smart man. And here's the reason. In his subconscious, he didn't want success. And you're going, wow, that's a bit weird. Well, that's what happens. You see, once you start to understand the subconscious has drives, it has goals that are separate to our conscious goals. And of course, this means there's internal conflict. So on the subconscious level, he did not want to create wealth. On the conscious level, he wanted to create wealth. And when he first came to see me, and I said, subconscious, you don't want wealth, he looked at me like I was a crazy man. He only sort of came on board with me pretty quickly when I told him what his family upbringing was like without him telling me anything about it. I told him about his mother, I told him about his father, And then he went, wow, if Perry can do that, if he knows that, maybe he is right. Maybe my subconscious doesn't want wealth. So I said earlier that we as young people absorb the belief systems, the values of the people, the culture, the society that we grow up in that gets committed to the subconscious. Well, this particular gentleman, when he was growing up, there was a couple of rules in his family. The first rule was you can't go further than your father. If you achieved more than your father, you were somehow bad and undermining a really important person in your life. And the father was competitive. So the father also liked to undermine his son and sort of support his son to feel that he wasn't that great. He wasn't that good. So in a way, his father supported this sense of shame he had, this sense of low self-worth, all on the subconscious level. And of course, it would leak out from time to time, and sometimes he'd feel bad about himself, but then he'd get back to being happy because he repressed those feelings deep into the subconscious. Who wants to feel those feelings? But here's the thing. Anything repressed into the subconscious that you don't want to feel is still in your subconscious, and it is controlling you. So fascinating when you start to understand this stuff. This is why you've got to get into the subconscious and see what drives all your behaviors, get a real sense of what's going on in there. The other element that he had is his mother also gave him a hard time and didn't like men. And so she had a bit of a man-hating element. And as he grew up, that came out. And he went, well, I'm a man. So therefore, I'm a shameful man. So on the subconscious level, we start to diagnose it. The belief said, I'm no good. I've got to please the feminine, and I better hide all these things about me. I better not be too masculine. I better not be too much of an achiever, because that was a setup for the mother. The mother didn't like the father, who was attempting to be a high achiever, the father, and wasn't there for her. She's projecting her anger at the masculine not being there for her onto her son. The father, of course, trying to be a high achiever for his ego needs, so he could escape his low self-worth and low self-esteem because it was in the family line, had to betray his son because his son couldn't go further than him because then he would have to feel his low self-worth and low self-esteem. By the way, all of that stuff is really immature in my perspective. That's not a family based on love. That's a family based on power and anger. But that's how it is. People will get programmed, and that's what gets shaped. I can't really judge my clients' parents. They grew up in a particular era. That was what went on. They didn't have the ability to do kind of the work that we do, which is improve how we operate from a more loving stance, overcome subconscious drives that don't support us. And so these subconscious belief systems of shame and not being good enough drove a particular structure that I want to talk about right now. So the more shame you tend to have on a subconscious level, or lower self-worth that you have on the subconscious level, the more you will want to punish yourself. And typically, the less shame, the less low self-worth, the more one is okay with oneself, loves oneself, likes oneself, the more one will want to reward oneself. Now, this just comes back to what we call an archetypal pattern. So think about it. When you're growing up, your dad and your mum go, if you behave this way, you're not getting you're not getting your Christmas presents, you're not getting this, and you're getting that taken off you. And if you behave that way, we're going to give you, lollies and ice cream and night out and trip here and da-da-da-da. And you can't get into heaven unless you're a good person, and you go to hell if you're a bad person. Okay, so the sort of metaphoric construct is from the hierarchy, whatever the hierarchy is, the parents of the school. So if you don't condone to their behavior profile, what they deem to be good, you get punished. So, of course, you internalize that. So a gentleman that I'm talking about, he consciously is going, yes, I want to build this wealth. Smart man, gets big contracts. Then somehow, as I said, unfinished projects, he always undermines it, takes too much on, can't deliver, can't execute, things break down, staff leave, he creates chaos. And this is a really important word, chaos. I've said that a few times now. See, so on the subconscious level, as he starts to do well, his subconscious rule set says, oh, geez, this is a reward. I don't deserve a reward. Now you're listening to this going, but that's stupid, Perry. He's a practical man. Well, your subconscious isn't practical. And that's one of the most important things to learn. Because once you start to inspect your subconscious, you see how irrational it is. It's full of irrational beliefs and viewpoints. So the brakes go on. So something in the subconscious goes, uh-oh, I don't deserve that. That's not the script I'm playing out. I need to play out the script of someone that gets punished. I must play out the script of someone that gets punished. Interesting. He married someone like his mother and he gets punished all the time. He's never good enough. So his subconscious organizes it that he gets punished by going into debt. And therefore he can live out his subconscious shame and punishment script. Now, you'll see this inside of yourself in this way. Maybe it's not as great as him, but everyone has, until you do certain work and then these kind of patterns disappear, everyone has on a conscious level a voice that criticizes them and a voice that judges them. You'll have that until you awaken. Now, what's awakening? Well, you awaken when you go beyond the mind. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this in this podcast, but when you do a lot of inner work on the mind structure, witnessing, observing it, then you tend to go beyond the mind. And once you're beyond the mind, it's peaceful, it's loving, it's kind, and the mind and the patterns of the mind lose their power over you. But for most people, they haven't done that form of inner work. So they're shaped by the mind. And when you're shaped by a normal mind, you have an inner critic and you have an inner judge and you have an inner punisher. And every time that you display a behavior or you don't get the result that you think you should get, you'll have this inner criticism. Now, if you listen to those voices of that inner criticism, they're telling you you're no good. Do you think they want to reward you? Of course not. They're wanting to punish you because they buy into that metaphoric system of punishment goes with loss, not getting. Doing well or being good goes with receiving and reward. So my client just has that amplified many, many times in his subconscious. Now, let's get to my client because you probably get that, you understand that. So how does he overcome this? Well, the first thing that you need to understand is that the most important thing is that you become conscious of what's in the subconscious. And becoming conscious of what's in the subconscious means that you need to bring up on a feeling level the parts that hold belief systems and stories from your childhood, from different experiences, events in your life. I'll share one of mine. I remember at 13 or 14, nearly getting killed by a truck when I was riding a bike. It was the most exciting thing. I remember nearly getting killed and just going, I've never felt so alive. I've never felt so amazing. That moment, believe it or not, got lodged in my subconscious. And it was also probably an antidote to my numb, bored life. Okay, I had a lot of horrible things happen in my childhood. And at that point, I hadn't done this kind of work. And so I was probably shut down emotionally, quite numb, living a boring life. And I nearly got killed. And I felt so alive. My subconscious then, for the next 25 years, I was involved with really extreme sport. I've got so many injuries from the extremity of sport. And when I went back and looked at that behavior pattern, I loved it. I realized that 14-year-old or 13-year-old that nearly got killed, that experience was lodged in the subconscious. And I sought that out through sport, through surfing barrels and over really reefs and playing rugby and just doing nutso stuff. So we have to bring out what's in the subconscious into the conscious. And most people don't want to do that because they start to see things they judge and don't like. Um, and again, that's just a barrier to being honest with yourself. So we start to bring up from the subconscious into the conscious all the patterns and beliefs that have been controlling us from the subconscious. Now, essentially bring them to conscious awareness, they start to lose their power. They can't sideswipe us in the way that they can when they're hidden in the subconscious. Now, there's way more to do than that, but that is the most fundamental thing one needs to do. So I hope you've learned a lot from what I've shared today. If you have any questions, just send me an email at perry@perrymardon.com and I'll do my best to answer it in the podcast. Tell me what you want to hear, what you want to know, all that kind of thing. Share this podcast if you know people will enjoy it. And if you're looking for rapid, deep insights and a clear path forward, my diagnostic approach outpaces traditional coaching and psychological services in terms of speed and accuracy. Because I specialize in swiftly uncovering subconscious issues, saving you time and money, ready for immediate effective solutions. You'll see a link below. Just click it and book some time with me. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next episode.